Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today's video will be a build video of the Japalura 130, and I've been teasing this build for a little while. One reason why is I had other products that I had to get done, had to get reviewed in other builds, and number two, I really wanted to plan this build out. I didn't want to just start taping things together and stacking things together and taking chances on anything. I want this to be a very robust build, so that it can survive some pretty hard crashes, as the Japalura is made to do. And there's a lot of stuff going to go on into this build, and the reason why is because, well, you have a RunCam split with a 30.5 and a 30.5 mounting pattern, and I have to build an adapter so I can get it down to the 20x20 of the HGLRC F428 stack with the TX20 VTX on top. So that right in itself is going to be kind of an issue because it also has to be robust on top of it. It cannot be vibrating and so on and so forth. I also have a buck converter for the RunCam split version 1 because the version 1 can backfeed 5 volt and can actually end up damaging your stack and or your computer and so on and so forth. I didn't want to deal with any of that, so I thought this buck converter could stop the backfeed of voltage. I also have an FrSky R-XSR receiver, and this one does have the pin on it so that I can take out the smart port that's uninverted, so that will help because this is an F4 stack. And I also have to build this quad so that the Wi-Fi card for the RunCam split can plug in and out easily, so I can get the data from the SD card off of the split. I'm using Emax 1306 motors, which is my norm. These are 4kV, and this will be a 3S and a 4S build, so both. If you notice on my RunCam split, I put a piece of heat shrink all the way around this, and there's a reason for that. And the reason is because if the SD card becomes dislodged from the holder, it can actually lock up your video in flight. The SD card I'm using is the best video card or best SD card that I could find here locally, which is a U3. You want a very, very fast card, because if you do not have a fast card, it will lock up the video in flight. Okay, the RunCam split version 2 is out now, and they've addressed quite a few of these issues, but I already have this, so it's going to go into this build. All right, and all of this has to fit inside this here, from this top plate of the Japalura down to the main plate of the quad, and also have a battery strap going through because the battery will be mounted on the bottom. So there's quite a bit going on in this build. It'll be very tight, but I think with a little bit of thinking here, I can get this so it's still very robust. I'm not double-sided sticky taping things. Everything's bolted down like it's supposed to be. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm back with the build. Just wanted to do some updates here. So in order to get the battery strap to slide underneath here, and that's another problem with the Velcro loop on the strap here, is it can get caught on the SD card tray, and that's another reason why I did the cut this custom little shrink wrapping here, so that it can slide back and forth without getting caught on anything. So what I had to do is make some standoffs. So these are just long screws, and they go all the way through, and then you have the plastic pieces there that I built, and they're a little bit smaller. They're about 1 millimeter shorter than the typical standoff, and the reason I had to do that is because I had to build these, and what these are is just little ears that I came up with to go from the 30.5 mounting pattern to the 20x20. They're not carbon fiber. You don't want to make them out of carbon fiber because you could actually short out some of the ICs on the back of this, and you don't want to do that. So this is made out of like a it's like a little fiber board that I found, and I just made them with the Dremel tool. I drilled the holes first, measured out the holes, used the Japalura as a template from the distance from the 20 by 20 to the 30.5, and use that as a template, and just drilled out the holes for the little ears here, and so that's what they look like, and then screwed them down. I also shrunk the stack height by turning the TX 180 degrees, so that the switch to change the channel is now going to be out the back of the copter, so I can go in here and change the channel with like a little plastic screwdriver or something. Also, it shortened the stack down because this switch here is no longer sitting on top of the USB port out. I did leave a little bit of a gap between the USB. I don't know if you can see it or not. I left a little bit of a gap here between the TX20, and so that way it wouldn't ground out. So there is about a millimeter gap there, so it doesn't ground out. And so that left me with a stack height of I'm gonna guess a total stack height from top to bottom of almost 16. So 16 millimeters. See, we'll go to the screw here. So 17 if you include the screws here. So yeah. So I had to shrink it up, and then it'll just go on top of this. The reason I have 3 and not 4 is because of the USB here. If you try to shoot something off at the 45-degree angle on the USB, you'd have to lift it up a little bit in order to do that. And at that point, I'm going to run out of space inside the Japalura. So I figured that, you know, this is really tough stuff, this fiber board. So I don't think it's going to split or anything like that. So it's going to go on top just like that. So that's my total stack here. We'll screw it down here and I'll show you. And I made the screws small enough on those little ears where this screws right into there. So I'll probably go ahead and put a nut on it, or maybe I'll just Loctite them. But they're actually threaded. So I'll thread it all the way down here. And then this one here, that doesn't have an ear on it, it's just got a nut on it. And I'll be Loctiting that, of course. So let's see here. Screw this down, get it so it's nice and even. And I had to move the cable on the RunCam split. I had to move the cable just a hair, just so that there's a part on the bottom of the ESC that wants to kind of bang into the cord, so, or the cable that goes from the camera, from the split to the camera. So anyway, that's what we're looking at here. I still can go down a little bit. I guess what's actually holding it up is not the cable, it's actually that piece of shrink wrap. So I could actually go down just a hair on this. Yeah, so that's pretty good. I'm just gonna leave it at that, maybe. So there you go. So that's the stack, and everything fits the way it's supposed to. So there's your stack, and then when you fit the frame over it, let's see which way is the frame. The frame goes this way. It actually fits inside here now, so fits really nice actually. And I have a little bit of room still for the to mount the receiver, so the radio receiver. So there's your stack. If I want to change the channels, like I said, I can go in the back of the Japalura, right underneath of this here, right in the back, and I can just use a plastic screwdriver and just change the channel. So it's pretty nice. Lots of air, plenty of room for air on this. So I'm happy with it. Okay. And I'll be right back with more stuff.